welcome to my channel. My name is Norma. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make albóndigas in two different ways. The one that I typically grew up with, and then another way to make it just because I have a son that doesn't take spicy food, because one of the things that I use for one of the recipes is hot peppers. So if you want to follow along, let's get started with the ingredients. So these are the ingredients that we'll be needing for the recipes that I will be making. I will be making my albóndigas out of ground turkey. Typically, they're made out of ground beef, which you can use. I have a pound here, but I just like the flavor of the turkey somewhat more. I have here 3 guajillos, chile peppers, 2 Nuevo Mexicos, and then about 6 or 7 Chile de Arbol. You can get, sometimes we are going to toast them, but sometimes you can get them already toasted if you purchase them that way. 2 garlic cloves, onion, an egg, tomato, 2 tomatillos, squash, another zucchini, a bell pepper, a half cup of rice, jasmine rice, and then to season our broth, I will be using a chicken flavor bouillon. So now let's move on to our first step. Okay, so in order to get started with the albóndigas, the first thing that I will be doing is in a small pan or pot, I'm going to put the half cup of rice with water, and the goal here is only to cook it just enough so that it's soft enough to be able to incorporate with all the other ingredients, but not so cooked that it falls apart. It will completely be done cooking once the meatballs are in the broth. So let me turn this on, and we just want it on like a medium high. Okay, so I will be putting in the rice, and I will be adding about like I said, I don't want it to fully cook, so just a half a cup of water, and we'll let that cook. So our next step is now to toast the peppers on a griddle. And you want to be really careful with this because it can be very easy to burn them. This is how I've learned. But we're going to set them up on here, on the griddle, on like a medium heat. I like to flatten them out just so that it's easier for me to toast them. And we're going to flip them every so often until they are fully toasted. So as you can see, the rice right now is boiling. So all I'm going to do is just let the water completely dry out. So back on the peppers, we're going to do, I don't know if you can see this, but they're kind of almost inflating a little bit, and they're already kind of getting a little bit toasty. But this is our toasting on the sides. We're going to turn them over. And be very careful. You don't have to use your hands like I am when you're toasting them. You can just use like tongs or something to toast them. I don't want any of you guys to like get burned or anything like that. And then if you see for some reason that like pepper isn't completely flat, what I like to do is just like bring like a fork to it and just kind of help it like flatten it out so that it toasts a little bit better. But this one seems to be done. This one too. If it's like your first time trying to roast peppers, I would suggest instead of keeping it at medium, In the heat, maybe do like a medium low or even a low, just so that you don't burn the peppers. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my toasted peppers into a container with water so they soften up before I blend them. And always make sure to wash your hands after you handle any kind of peppers, because you don't want to rub your eyes, or if you wear contacts like I do sometimes, and then put your fingers in your eyes and burn yourself. So I'm going to let these just soak for a little bit, and I'll set these aside and we'll continue on with the rest of our ingredients. Okay, to the turkey, I'm going to add the rice that we just cooked. And as you can see, it's not fully cooked. It did get stuck a little bit on the side, but it's not fully cooked. I didn't end up using the whole thing, so maybe if you do cook the whole thing and you want to use a little bit less, then that's fine. It all depends on just your liking. A lot of the foods, I think, very much depend on how you like your consistency and the ingredients. Do you like more of it? Do you like less of it? So in this case, I just added half of what I did. So it's a 1/4 cup of rice. So now into the meat, into my mixture, I'm going to crack 1 egg. And the egg is going to help all of the ingredients just stick together. And I always keep a bowl of for trash on the side here. So the next step is to cut up any ingredients that you are going to put into your meat. So we're going to start by chopping the tomatillos. I was going to use 2, but it actually seems like 1 of them is fine because I don't want to make them less meaty. So we're going to put this in our mixture. Okay. So now we are going to chop up some onion. And I usually, when I peel them, I take off the very top layer because I don't want that waxy first layer. And then I'm going to add a little bit of coarse ground black pepper, just a little bit. Oh, actually I forgot the green pepper. And then I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of salt. And then mix it up. Okay, so now we're going to chop one of the squash. And now I'm going to take part of the zucchini that I had. It was really big, so I'm doing half of it and cutting it into quarters. Now I'm going to chop up about just a little bit of tomato for the one that won't have any peppers in it. Okay, so now that we've let our peppers soak so that they get soft, we're going to blend them. Okay, so now we're gonna add a quarter of an onion into our blender, and then the 2 garlic cloves that I had pointed out earlier. And now, a lot of people like to take out the seeds in the peppers. I don't. I think the seeds give it a little bit of more spice, so I'm going to leave the seeds inside. I am, however, going to take off the stem from the top of the peppers and just put them into the blender. Now we're going to add some water to help it blend. So now we're going to blend it until it's very, very smooth. Okay, so now as you can see, I'm going to use 1 pot for the chili broth and then another pot for just like a plain broth. That's we're going to be cooking for my son. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the heat on both at medium. And on the one that we're going to do the chili in, we're going to add about a tablespoon of oil. I use grapeseed oil. I'm going to add a little bit on this one too, probably a little bit less, about a teaspoon. And onto this one I'm going to add water, and to this one I'm going to add the chili paste that I just blended. Okay, so the one that's going to be plain, I'm just going to add enough water to cover the meatballs, and then I'm going to add a teaspoon of the chicken flavor. And then I'm going to add the diced tomatoes that I had chopped earlier to give it a little bit of like tomato flavor. Okay, so now on this one, the oil has been getting hot, and now I'm going to add in the chili paste. And then after I add in the chili paste, I'm going to add the water in. So on the one with the chili paste, I do like to add, like in this pot, kind of like around here up to this level of water. It will be covering the meatballs, but I also want it a little bit brothy as well, so kind of like a soup, right? So in this one, after I add the water, I add a tablespoon of the chicken flavor bouillon. One thing that I didn't do, and a lot of people do like to do, and sometimes I do it, is to kind of like filter out the chili peppers so that you only have the broth and not like the pieces of pepper. But I actually like the texture of it, so I leave them in. I don't really bother, and it's much faster doing it this way too, as opposed to having to as opposed to just having the broth having like being the chili flavor. So now we're going to stir this one. So right now I have them both a little bit less than medium heat, and I'm gonna let both of them come to a boil before I start adding the meatballs in. And while this is happening, we're going to get our meatballs ready. Okay, so while our broths are coming to a boil, we are going to start building our meatballs with the mixture that we made earlier. We're going to make, probably going to make them about an inch in diameter. So about this big. So now our meatballs are done, and by making sure that they're about an inch in diameter and along with all of the ingredients, I yielded about 20 meatballs. My broths have come to a boil, and we're going to add in the meatballs into the broth, and then we're going to let the meatballs cook through. So actually, before adding the meatballs, I'm going to add the zucchinis and the squash onto the broth. We're adding this before so that I don't dump them over the meatballs and then they kind of fall apart. So just be careful as you're putting things in to not burn yourself. And it's already smelling really, really good. So let's add on our meatballs and be very careful. If you don't want to burn yourself and you think it's much easier for you, you can use a spoon. So you can place your meatball onto the spoon and just drop it into the broth. So I'm adding 4 meatballs to the one with the just the plain broth, and I added the rest to the one with the chili broth. We're going to let these cook, and then once they're cooked, I'll give you more of an accurate time of like from the moment that I drop them in to the moment that I stop cooking them, just to make sure that I give you the right time to let these cook. So we're just going to let these cook, and I will bring down the temperature on this one, or the level. I'm probably going to do like a medium low because it's already like trying to cook them really quickly on the one that has no chili in it. And the reason I'm doing that on this one is just because it's a smaller amount of water as opposed to the one with the chili. But if you were to be making the same amount without the chili paste, you can follow the same directions as I am giving you for the one with the chili broth. Okay, so the meatballs have been cooking for approximately 15 minutes, maybe just a little bit more. And I took one out just to check that it was cooked all the way through, and it's cooked all the way through. So you can turn those off now. and they're done. Now it's time to try them. Okay, so we're gonna give it a try and see if it's good. Get a little bit of like the broth and the meatball and some zucchini. That's good. It's not spicy either, because usually the Chile de Arbol, the really like skinny peppers, give it more of like a spicy flavor. But take that as a grain of salt, because we like spicy food. So for me, this is not too spicy. For you, it could be a little bit more spicy. So if you don't want it super spicy, you can just completely take out the Chile de Arbol, and you'll just have a little bit more of a mild flavor with the other peppers. So that was how you make albóndigas in 2 different ways. Also, if you want to pair it with warm tortillas, it's a good pairing. And if you like videos like this, subscribe and like the video. Until next time, bye, adios.
Oh, this is what I'm trying.
Wait, what? Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't try the other ones, but I'm sure they're good too. Well, that's good. I don't know if you eat like 3 meatballs per person, you'd probably be good for maybe 4. 3 times 4 is 24. No, never mind. For 3 people. Wait, 3 times 4 is 12?
I hope you didn't thought you were an engineer.